Since we have a new Batman movie, it's time to rank all 12 theatrical Batman movies, including Batman v Superman, because that's equally a Batman and Superman movie, from the worst to the best. Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Gabriel, and I love to rank movies. This list is just my opinion, but I would love to see yours down in the comment section, and I will be including the animated Batman movies, which are Batman Mask of the Phantasm, as well as the Lego Batman movie, because they were both solo Batman movies theatrically released. And with that said, let's get started. Easily in last place is Batman and Robin. There is seriously nothing new for me to say about this film. I genuinely have no pros with this film. Everything is unbearably horrible, and I just hate how fake everything looks. All of the sets are decent, but they all look like they were made out of plastic, and I just did not like the direction this film took at all. George Clooney, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Uma Thurman were absolutely horrible in their roles, and Bane is just a complete joke. Everything is just so childish, and I can't believe the studio wanted to release this. In 11th place, I have Batman Forever. Batman Forever actually gets way too much hate in my opinion. I feel like a lot of people have just started to hate this because Batman and Robin, but it's actually better than most people say it is. It's not good, it's just decent, because just like Batman and Robin, this was kind of treated like a joke with the really over-the-top Riddler and Two-Face, but I do really like Jim Carrey in his role. Val Kilmer wasn't nearly as good as Michael Keaton, but at least he wasn't as bad as George Clooney. I don't really like Robin in this, and I'm still waiting for someone to do justice to his character in live action. Not horrible, but I don't like it. And on a side note, I thought Robin was okay in The Dark Knight Rises. Just making the top 10 is Batman 1966. This one is really interesting because it has a completely different vibe than the other films, but I still had a ton of fun with it. Adam West is really fun as Batman, and it's just refreshing to see something like this that doesn't take itself seriously. The plot is really dumb, and the opening scene is hysterical, but I still kind of like it. I don't really see myself rewatching this film because it's a lot more like a TV special or pilot rather than a theatrically released film, but I guess it's fine for what it is. Next up in 9th place, I have The Dark Knight Rises. This is easily the worst of the Nolan Batman films because it's the most sloppily made and the most forgettable, but I still really like it. Bane has become really iconic in this film from his memeable voice. Catwoman is decent, but the twist at the end was disappointing and unneeded. The introduction of Robin was really cool, and that ending made everything worth it, but I think his character was kind of just shoved into this last film in the trilogy in a mediocre manner. A solid ending to Christopher Nolan's trilogy, and I will definitely be rewatching this a lot in the future. Then in 8th place, I have Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Actually really good. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a very good Batman story that honestly should be eulogized more. The animation is pretty decent, there's nothing that really stands out at all, but it looks pretty clean. Mark Hamill is dismaying as the Joker, and all of the performances are solid. For some reason, seeing this type of animation that isn't super detailed is refreshing to look at. Watching this makes me want to watch some of the more older animated Batman films because this was surprisingly good, and I recommend it to Batman fans. Number 7 is Batman Returns. One of the downfalls of this film is just how crazily dark it is. Normally I would be fine with that, but Tim Burton just does way too much for a film with Batman as the lead character. To be completely honest, I'm not a big fan of Penguin or Catwoman, but I guess they fit the film very well, and some of the action is really good. The opening when Batman sees the bat signal is just awesome, and I really like Batman in this film. I wish Tim Burton made some more Batman films because they were both really good, and I'm sad Joel Schumacher just made it so much worse. In 6th place is Batman Begins. This used to be my favorite Batman movie. If you watched my older ranking from the start of my channel, this was number 1, but after thinking about it more, I don't like it as much as I said. I was honestly not excited to watch it, and then when I did watch it, I was pleasantly surprised and I couldn't wait to watch the others. Scarecrow is an extremely underdeveloped villain, and I'm not a huge fan of Ra's al Ghul, but this film does Batman's origin story so incredibly well, and I just think it's great despite its flaws. Oh, but I don't like how Christian Bale invented the throat cancer Batman voice, which just became how people view Batman as a character, which is kind of annoying. Kicking off the top 5 is The Batman. This was one of my most anticipated films of the year, and it did not disappoint. I was really excited to see Paul Dano's Riddler and how terrifying they would make him, and oh my gosh, the scenes with him basically turn this into a horror movie. The perfect score by Michael Giacchino accompanies the scenes amazingly and makes the Riddler seem like he would belong in a slasher film. I also really like Colin Farrell, so of course I wanted to see how he would bring the Penguin to life, and it was slightly disappointing what they did with his character, but the car chase with him was cinema. I don't care what Martin Scorsese says. Catwoman was decent once again, but something that I love is just the relationship between Batman and Commissioner Gordon. They work so well together trying to solve the mystery, and the riddles just added to the mystery aspect so well. Alfred was really cool to see, especially with Andy Serkis, but I wish he got more screen time, and I hope they utilize him more in future projects involving this version of Batman. The cinematography was outstanding, and I immediately fell in love with the divine lighting. Robert Pattinson did a great job as Vengeance, and the dialogue they wrote for him, such as the line, "It's not just a call, it's a warning," was perfect for the character, and I love the world building in this, where whenever a criminal sees the bat signal, they think he could be lurking in the shadows anywhere. It lived up to my expectations, and I can't wait to see it again. It'll be in my top 15 of 2022 at the end of the year for sure. In fourth place is actually going to be Batman v Superman, the theatrical cut. I know a lot of people hate this, and I haven't even seen the Ultimate Edition yet. Unfortunately, I couldn't get my hands on it. Believe me, I tried. I just don't really want to pay for HBO Max, and I didn't really want to rent it, but I still think the theatrical cut is great. I think there are some incredible action scenes and set pieces, and I love seeing Bruce Wayne's reaction to the events of Man of Steel. Of course, the fight between Batman and Superman was epic, but only lasted like 5 minutes until they started talking about their moms, so ultimately it ended up being slightly disappointing. But the opening scene, the battle with Doomsday, and the warehouse scene are all astounding with a phenomenal score by Junkie XL. I really enjoy Jesse Eisenberg's portrayal as Lex Luthor, and it's kind of overhated, but I definitely understand the problems people have with it, and I have problems with it as well. I just really like it. I think I should see the Ultimate Edition. The pacing is choppy in the theatrical cut, and I agree that some motivations and characters don't get fully developed very well, but I still really enjoy it, and sometime this year I'll be sure to watch the Ultimate Edition, but for now I've only seen the original version, and I unapologetically love it. Winning the bronze medal is The Dark Knight. This is a lot of people's favorite for good reason, but there are just a couple films that top it for me. I haven't seen it in almost 2 years, so take my thoughts with a grain of salt, but from what I remember, this movie is amazing. This is another one where I don't think there's much left to say about it. It gives us the best Joker we've ever seen played by Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger was fully immersed in the role, and it was so menacing, it was slightly concerning. He acted so insane in the film that unfortunately he took his own life before the film was released, which was very sad. Every scene that the Joker isn't in is kind of forgettable besides the Two-Face storyline, and Gotham doesn't have the same style as it does in the other films, but I still love it and I already want to rewatch it. My runner-up is Batman 89. I pretty much have no major flaws with this. Yes, there are problems, but good things come from almost all of them. Batman's suit is stiff and he can't move his neck at all, which is kind of funny, but it has become iconic and I love the way it looks. The Batmobile looks awesome, and this is the most stylistic Gotham I have ever seen. It looks so much like it would in a comic book, and I appreciate so much of what this film did. Jack Nicholson is almost as good as Heath Ledger and easily gives the best performance of the whole film. So many iconic lines, and Danny Elfman's eerie score perfectly gives us an idea of the tone this film will have. This is easily my favorite performance of Michael Keaton's, and since I love this so much on rewatch, I have become even more excited for Andy Muschietti's newest film, The Flash. I'm just really sad that it got delayed to 2023. But in first place is actually the Lego Batman movie. Who knew a film like this would work so well? The Lego Movie is just a plain masterpiece, so I knew this wouldn't live up to it, but honestly, it was really close. It has some of the best and most alluring animation I've ever seen. Every single frame has lively and energetic colors, and the references to other Warner Brothers movies makes this one of the funniest and fun animated movies I've ever seen. There are so many laugh out loud moments, and the people that make these Lego movies just understand what the audience wants. And the Lego Batman movie is a perfect example of that. Not only is it ballsy, but it is also very meta to the superhero genre and just films in general. All the references to older Batman movies fit in perfectly with this version of Gotham and the characters, and all of that makes this the best Batman movie I've ever seen. It's so sad that Warner Brothers sold the rights to Lego because they made some truly audacious and phenomenal films. Besides Lego Ninjago movie, that's the only one I kind of don't like.